Now, I must say, it has been a little bit challenging trying to schedule my videoing around Archie's nap schedule. Archie is my 12-week-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and he just woke up from a nap. So I'm hoping his toys and his chew toys are going to keep him busy, because today I am doing an old school beauty YouTube tag video. Now, a tag video is where different creators answer the same series of questions. This particular tag, I believe, was created by Gemma, who has the channel Pampered Wolf, and I have really enjoyed seeing some of my favorite creators do this tag, such as Des Beauty and Lifestyle, Tina's Best Midlife, Melissa55, and Patty Rockstar Mom. I will link all their channels in the description box below. Anyway, if you are a creator, consider yourself tagged. And even if you're not a creator, please feel free to answer any or all of the questions in the comment box, because it's a really fun way to get to know each other. And I will list all of the questions in the description box below. Question number 1. If you could only use one high-end product for the next 5 years and the rest must be affordable, which high-end product would you choose? Now, I must say, drugstore products have come such a long way over the past, 10 or 15 years. It used to be a real challenge to find good products, and now I use a lot of drugstore products, in fact, in every single category. But my mind first went to my beloved Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder, which is very expensive. I have completely used it up, and even though it's pricey, this lasted me at least 4 or 5 years. It is the most gorgeous powder. And at age 66 with very dry skin, powders are really difficult. This has been a favorite for years. However, I recently saw a video by Amanda Z, who's a younger gal, and she said the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancing Powder, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see the actual name of this. CoverGirl Baked Luminous Finishing Powder. She said it was a dupe, so of course I had to go buy it. And you know what? She was absolutely right. This is incredibly finely milled. It comes, but yet translucent. Now, there is a difference between a finishing powder and a setting powder, but I just use a finishing powder both to blur my makeup and to set my under eyes. This gives a glow, but there is no sparkle or shimmer. It does take down a little bit of the shine, but it leaves a glow. And, I just don't like my skin to be overly mattified. This is gorgeous. In fact, I picked it up in 2 shades. This one is slightly rosy, and this one, I'll show you the difference between them. And the other one, I'll have to list the shade names in the description box below. This one is a little bit more neutral. Both absolutely gorgeous. I have been holding off on repurchasing the Hourglass because I do have an Hourglass palette with one of these. I'm probably not going to be repurchasing this. My most expensive skincare product that I cannot be without is my Calisum Professional Serum. This is pricey, but I do have a 10% discount code, and they do have frequent sales. And I always try to notify you of sales in my community post on my YouTube page. It's sort of hard to explain where it is. YouTube doesn't notify you very well of community posts, and that is where I try to notify you of sales, or if I'm late for a video, if I'm missing a video, just all kinds of notifications. I did a video, which I will link below, on how to find the community page on YouTube. Anyway, back to the Calisum. It is definitely pricey, but it is very concentrated, and you only need a couple of drops. And this is what I use once or twice a week when I either cosmetic needle or medical microneedle, and I have a whole video on that. This is loaded with their PTT6 serum, which is, has growth factors and exosomes, and it is designed for post-procedure skin, so it is safe for microneedling. And if I am microneedling anything into my skin, I want to use the best, and I do think this is the best. One more thing with Calisum I have to mention. I have not done a video on this yet, but the Calisum Advanced Hair System really does work. So, I've had thinning hair, I've had a lot of shedding. I could not get on board with minoxidil. I've tried so many times and it just makes my hair greasy and dirty and limp. But this Calisum is a system. It comes with a stamp and their serum, their hair serum, which also contains PTT6 and other things to help your hair regenerate your hair follicle. It really does work. So with this, you stamp it into your scalp twice a week for 6 weeks, and you do that every couple of months. I have to do a video on this one day, but it really does work. Question number 3. What is one makeup skincare tip that I wish everybody knew? Okay, so now in this day and age, I think we're all aware of how damaging the sun can be, not only to age our skin, but for the health of our skin. So, sunscreen is mainstream. So everybody can make their own decision about sunscreen. But I'm going to take it one step further. I often ask my friends, what's your favorite sunscreen? Because I'm always trying to test new sunscreens. And when I hear them say, oh, there's sunscreen in my foundation, oh my gosh, I absolutely cringe. Sunscreen in foundation is a bonus at best. I actually did an entire video a few years ago where I applied 1/4 teaspoon of foundation to my face to demonstrate it's just not possible to actually get sun protection from your foundation. Like I said, it's a bonus at best. And then the other thing I hear some of my friends say, oh, I love this sunscreen, whatever it is, Elastin or whatever the sunscreen is. And then they'll say, and a little goes a long way. Oh my gosh, that gets me started because it goes back to you have to use the correct amount of sunscreen in order to achieve the SPF that's listed on the label. So that is typically 1/4 teaspoon for the face and 1/4 teaspoon for the neck. So again, what I wish everybody knew is that if you are trying to protect your skin from the sun, do not rely on your makeup for sun protection and make sure that you are using the correct amount. And a hat is always helpful too. Okay, I'll get off my bandwagon. Let's see, what is question number 4? Okay, question number 4. Have you ever given a product a positive review when you thought it was rubbish? Absolutely not. I just wouldn't do it. Trust and honesty. If we don't have trust and honesty, it's just not even worth having a YouTube channel. Even if I don't love a product, I try to be objective and kind. I really don't want to trash a product. And sometimes the very reasons that I don't love a product might be the reason that you do love a product. For instance, I recently did a video where I did a comparison with the Do It All Balm, which is a favorite, compared to the new Laura Mercier Blur Balm. I did side by side. Now, the Laura Mercier was not my favorite, and I told you why, because it was a little bit too matte for my preference. But I got a lot of comments in the comment box that they preferred the Laura Mercier because it was matte. So again, just because I don't love a product doesn't mean you won't love it. And I think the information, if it's given objectively, can be helpful to everybody. Now, having said that, I really don't like to trash a product. So in general, I do try to choose products to review that I do think I will enjoy. So in general, I don't choose to review heavy-duty, high-coverage matte foundations because I know, my review might be a little skewed because it's not my preference. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Let's go on to the next question. Question number 4. what is the weirdest thing in my makeup bag? So I'm going to have you tell me. In my purse, I keep this darling little velvet Lisa Eldridge makeup bag. And in here, I do have a few things always. I have glasses wipes, because I do wear glasses. I have, let's see, little flexible toothpicks. And I always have a little mini hand lotion. I'm not really picky about which hand lotion. Always have a nail file. Let's see what else. I always have 2 eye drops, a lubricating drop as well as my Lumify drops, which really help whiten the eyes. As far as makeup, I really do love to carry my Dermatology Luminous Eye Corrector. I use this every single day, and I do like to have it with me because if my eyes start to look a little tired, or my eyeliner or my mascara is falling down, just a little bit of this under my eyes brightens my eyes and takes care of any makeup fallout. Sometimes I like to have a little mini blush. This is my Merit Beauty Blush Balm. It is a mini. This is, hold on. This is in the shade Foxy. These are just so incredibly easy to, pop on. Blends really easily with the fingers. I have heard people say these are not the longest lasting, and that is true to a degree, especially in the summer. To make them last a little bit longer, I will sometimes double blush, putting a little powder blush over this, but it's so easy to pop in my purse and touch up as needed. And of course, lipstick. Now, I will go months with the same lipstick in my purse, and right now the lipstick that I've been carrying in my purse is the Morphe Lip Lock in the shade, what is this, Heart Riveting. It is a red shade. These are, where am I going to do this? These are, it's almost gone. I'm going to have to order a new one. Can you see that? That's as far as it's going to go. Definitely ordering a new one. I did a whole video where I tried on all 10 shades. I absolutely love this lipstick. It's hydrating, it's glossy. You can apply it sheerly or you can build it up. The best part is, it is virtually transfer proof. It lasts way longer than any other glossy hydrating lip balm or lipstick that I've ever used. Absolutely love it. Do a little touch up. Really easy to carry in my purse, really easy to apply on the go. But like I said, it's really long lasting, so hours can go by before I need to touch this up. Now, it is not quite as long lasting as a liquid lip or something that's really never going to come off your lips, but this lasts at least 3 to 5 times longer than any other normal lipstick I've ever used. Okay, I think I have him resituated so we can get through the rest of these questions. Next question is, which makeup tool do you absolutely refuse to use? Now, I am someone who does not enjoy using my fingers in general for makeup application. There are some tints that I'll use my fingers, but in general with complexion products, whether it's a cream or a powder, I really do prefer a brush. Even one and done eyeshadows where you can use your finger, I prefer to use a brush. And today is, I believe, the last day of the BK Beauty 7-year anniversary sale, up to 40% off, so I did want to mention that. But back to the question, it's not that I refuse to use this, but I am terrified. I have never used an eyelash curler. When I recently had my makeup done at Lisa Eldridge Studio, she said, would you like me to curl your eyelashes? I'm like, no, please. Luckily, my eyelashes do have quite a bit of natural curl. However, I do think that my eyelash serum, Revitalash, may have actually even made my eyelashes curl a little bit more. But to answer the question, the one makeup tool I do not use and will never use is an eyelash curler. You know, Refer did send me some really beautiful eyelash curlers a couple years ago, and I wound up giving them away in a giveaway. Next question. What sort of comments annoy you the most? You know, in the first year or two of my channel, I could have 100 lovely comments, and if I got one negative comment, it would ruin my entire day. Luckily, over the years, I've developed a thick skin, and you know, comments don't really bother me too much anymore. However, if it is extremely negative or very nasty, I just delete and block. I don't even give it a second thought. I delete and block because I do not want that kind of negativity in my comment section. Now, I will say when I see nasty comments on my friends' videos, I get pretty annoyed, and recently someone commented on my friend Cindy Beyond 50 Skins channel, and it really irked me because it was a very nasty comment. And I simply replied to her comment and I said, you know, I guess you didn't read the community guidelines for kind and respectful comments. She went straight to my channel and called me an old ugly hag. So both Cindy and I deleted and blocked her. Interestingly enough, the nastiest comments almost always come from someone with no name and no photo, so they're just mean, ugly trolls. But again, I love reading my comments because the majority of them are kind, sweet, supportive, and you share things about your life too. And so in the comments, when I see familiar names pop up, it just makes me feel like I'm greeting a friend. So keep the comments coming. I really do appreciate it. Okay, forgive the noise because Archie is now eating his carrot, so there may be a little crunching in the background. Anyway, next question. Do you ever feel pressured to always look perfect on camera? You know, less and less as the years go on because I'm very comfortable showing up on camera with no makeup. I really believe that, you know, it's important for you to see what we really look like. As long as I don't have goobers in my nose or something in my teeth, I'm good to go. However, I do think about things like today. I am acutely aware that I'm overdue for a haircut, and I almost hesitate to call attention to it. I had some potato chips last night, and I woke up with puffy eyes and no amount of eye patches or, you know, my zip halo, which can help, is really taking it down. So I'm showing up on camera with puffy eyes. But you know, we're all friends here, and this is real life, and so this is what we look like. Although I must say, I know more and more people are watching YouTube on their big screen TVs, and I must say the thought of that is a little bit scary. You know, I actually have not watched myself on, I don't even have a big screen TV. I do have, you know, I think a 40-inch. I really need to see what I look like on the big screen. Hopefully halfway decent. Anyway, can you imagine seeing yourself on a big screen TV? A little bit scary. Oh my gosh, he is really going to town. Let's see if we can get through the rest of these questions. What step in your makeup skincare routine can you not skip under any circumstances? Of course, I literally double cleanse my face every single evening. I must get all the grime and sunscreen and makeup off my face every single night. I think it has been years since I've skipped that. Even if I fall asleep on the couch and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I cleanse my face. And of course, you all know I wear sunscreen every single day. As far as makeup goes, the one thing I will not leave the house without, even for a walk, I will put my sunscreen on, hat, sunglasses, and lipstick. If I want to go just one step above that, maybe I'm doing some errands, but I'm still not doing, you know, real makeup, I will use my Dermatology eye corrector around my eyes. It just brightens my eyes. And of course, eyebrows. Got to have the eyebrows. So the one makeup I cannot be without is lipstick, followed by a corrector and eyebrows, and of course, skincare, cleansing, and sunscreen. This is number 10. We only have a few more to go. What is the most asked question or most frequent comment in your comment section? My hair. You know, when I first started my channel, I had just cut the dye off and I had salt and pepper hair and I was really excited about it. So I did several gray hair videos, which was trending at the time. People either loved it or hated it, and they made their opinions known. And then recently, you know, a couple years ago, I was really getting tired of the salt and pepper hair. Actually, I wasn't. My hair was getting whiter and whiter and whiter. I was feeling a little bit blah, so I played around with low lights, and then I just took the plunge and went blonde. I did a video on it, and oh my gosh, that video was full of love and hate comments. It was very, what's the word, controversial, polarizing even. I even had a couple of ladies say in a comment that they were unsubscribing because they could no longer relate to me without my gray hair, which, okay, a little weird, but okay. Next question is, do you ever censor what you say about your personal life for your audience? You know, to some degree, yes. This channel is really about looking and feeling our best as we're growing older. Having said that, you know, I have shared quite a bit. I did a cottage tour, an apartment tour. I shared about moving cross country from Minnesota to upstate New York. I've shared a lot about my dog, Bosley, who passed away a couple months ago. And again, thank you so much for all your love and kindness after he passed away. Of course, I'm trying to share Archie. I shared a couple of travel vlogs. My daughter and I took trips both to India and to Mexico, and those were really fun vlogs to share. But in general, I don't share, you know, super personal stuff. I'm fairly private, and my life really isn't that interesting anyway. Next, we have, do you ever feel insecure about posting a video? You know, even after all these years, I started my YouTube channel 7 years ago. I am still nervous every single time I sit down in front of the camera. I don't know what it is. I sit down and I just get a little bit uptight. Once I get going with the video, I usually sort of loosen up and, you know, hopefully it's not coming across too much. But yeah, I do get nervous, and I have talked to a couple of other people who feel the same way. As far as being insecure about my videos, my biggest insecurity, my biggest challenge in making a video is lighting. Oh my gosh. You know, I do not have a dedicated studio. So I have to set up and take down my lights every single day. And depending on, there he goes. Depending on the time of day, the time of year, whether it's cloudy or sunny, it's always a little bit different. You know, and I'm not a pro, and I know my lighting isn't the best, but I really do my best. So, oh my goodness, Archie is losing his patience. So let's see if we can get through these last two questions. Question 14. If someone bumped into you in real life, what would surprise them the most? Well, depending on the day and the event, if I was out to dinner, you know, I probably look pretty good. But if I'm just running around doing errands, they might be surprised that I don't look quite as polished as I usually do on camera. You know, when I'm just out and about, typically it's hair up or a hat and lipstick. So not always looking my best. The other thing that might surprise them is I am pretty tall. I'm 5'8½", although I have mentioned it on camera. But I have found that when I go to, for instance, a YouTube creator event and I meet other YouTubers, the thing that usually surprises me the most is their height. You only see us, right, from here up. And so some creators are super tiny, way more petite than I expected, and others are way taller than I expected. The other thing that surprises me sometimes when I meet a creator, a variety of creators, is many of the creators I have met can be a little bit shy and reserved, and you know, as I am. So, you know, we're sitting here on camera putting ourselves out there, but many of us are shy and reserved. So those are the things I think would surprise people the most. And the very last question is a doozy. It is, what is the most unflattering comment about your appearance that stuck with you? Now, over the years, I have had several comments saying, oh my gosh, your eyes are too far apart. And you know I have wide set eyes and it really has never bothered me. But the more I get that comment, the more aware I am, oh my gosh, are my eyes too far apart? And then I did get one comment, oh my goodness, he's really getting restless. I did get one comment that said, your eyes are so far apart, I think you have, what did she call it? She had put some medical condition in the comment box. I think you have this medical condition. So of course I Googled it. And it was actually a genetic deformity where people's eyes were literally on the side of the head. Now, I know I don't have a genetic deformity, and whether my eyes are too far apart is a matter of opinion. However, I did start to become more aware to the extent where I started adjusting the way I did my makeup. You know, I'd look in the mirror, oh my gosh, are my eyes too far apart? So, how I adjusted my makeup is I make sure that I get my inner brow penciled in so it's, you know, above the inner corner to sort of pull my eyes together. And I used to only use eyeliner on the outer half of my eye. Now I tend to eyeline the entire eye, hoping to pull my eyes a little bit closer together. Now, I've never been able to do a wing just because I'm not skilled enough, but I tend not to sort of pull my eyeshadow up on the outer corners like I used to. So, most unflattering comment about my appearance that has stuck with me is definitely, your eyes are too far apart. Of course, that's a matter of opinion and we're all individuals, so, you know, it's not that it gave me, you know, necessarily a hang-up, but it did change the way I do my makeup. Anyway, those are all the questions. Archie is getting very restless, so I do need to take him out and play. If you are a creator, please consider yourself tagged. And even if you're not a creator, please share your answers to any or all of these questions in the comment box. It's a really great way for us to get to know each other. And with that, have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in my next video.